Action.
Welcome to Off Camera, the UC Film Society radio show all about movies. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Jake.
I'm Cam.
And we'll be your directors for this episode. This week on Off Camera, your guest will be me, Ollie. I'll tell you about my experience writing short films, and as president of the Film Society, I'll announce my favorite movie, director, and actor, and we'll talk about where I want to go in my future in film. So, may as well start off with just a bit about me. Wow, this feels narcissistic, but
it's all about you.
Let's talk about it. So I'm a third-year film student. I'm in my final semester of my degree here at UC. I've been the president of the Film Society since the start of 2022, where I took over from previous president and ex-film student Tom Fiander, who really helped me when I first started out here at UC. I haven't directed anything yet, but directing is not necessarily my passion. Writing is. So I want to write films and then make them in some capacity. So if that means I'm directing them, if that's the best way that what I want to portray and the story is going to come across, then that's what I'm going to do. But I more care about the writing, which I hope makes me a bit more unique, because I think everyone wants to be a writer-director, and that worries me a bit.
If you've seen the list, it's on YouTube. Ollie wrote that one.
I did write that one. So
it's quite a good film.
I love that script.
Thank you. I don't really have anything to plug per se. Yeah, the list is available to watch, which I wrote, directed by my good friend Stella Martin. But yeah, that's pretty much it about me in terms of what I do.
Do you want to tell us about what you've been watching then?
Okay.
Recently?
Yeah. What I've been watching recently, Boogie Nights, which we'll obviously get into in more depth later. I've also been watching Ahsoka. So much to talk about there, but I think we've talked about it enough on this show.
That people are kind of sick of it. I don't know.
I'm definitely not sick of it.
We should talk about it once it's over.
Yeah, once it's over, we'll talk about the whole show.
Yeah. Patreon
episode 7 just came out. Episode 7 just came out and was fantastic. Episode 6 was fantastic. Episode 5 was fantastic. We haven't got to talk about any of those ones, but we're just going to say there's one more episode left, so we're going to wait till the end and we'll talk about the show as a whole.
Definitely.
What else have I been watching? I watched Narcos. I've never seen it before. I watched the first 5 episodes. I'm definitely going to continue watching it. So, yeah.
I've heard that's really good.
It is really good.
Yeah.
It was very intense, and it drew... I watched it with my brother and my cousin over in New Zealand, and it just drew us all in straight away.
Pedro Pascal's in that, isn't he?
Yes, he's... Yeah. At least in the first season, he's not the main character. He's like the main character's partner, because they're both DEA agents.
Right.
But that's what made us want to watch it. We were like, oh, Pedro Pascal, drug show, sick. So we started watching that, and yeah, definitely going to keep watching it because it's very good.
Who's your favorite director, Ollie?
Okay,
just quietly. Who's
jumping into the questions? Okay.
Who's your favorite director?
My favorite director has to be Taika Waititi.
Yeah, right.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Both my parents are from New Zealand. I go to New Zealand at least once a year. Sometimes twice. This year, I've already been 2 times, and I'm going again at the end of the year.
I love New Zealand.
So yeah,
Honestly,
I connect with Taika, even though my family isn't Maori. I connect with his stories. I think he's got a very not humanitarian in like the saving the environment way, but connecting with humanity sort of way. Everything's really down to earth. His movies are hilarious. As we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, I watched Boy for the first time, but I've also seen Hunt for the Wilder People a bunch of times, watched it for the first time in an outdoor cinema in New Zealand.
That's so cool.
It was freezing. It was like 6 degrees, raining, and windy. It was not comfy, but the movie was really, really good. I loved Jojo Rabbit. When I saw it, my favorite movie I had ever seen at the time. I watched Thor Ragnarok like 3 times in theaters and have since seen it like another 5 or 6 times. I love that movie. It's my favorite Marvel movie. Yeah. What We Do in the Shadows is just so wacky and fun. And then his episode of The Mandalorian in season 1, which is the finale. It's my favorite episode of all of The Mandalorian.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
And then he's not the director or producer of what's the pirate show? I keep forgetting what it's called. With Rhys Darby.
Yeah.
But he plays Blackbeard in that, and he is fantastic. Like that, he acts in a bunch of his own stuff. That's his best acting work.
It's Our Flag Means Death.
Our Flag Means Death. I don't know why I keep forgetting
I haven't seen it.
the title because I'm obsessed with that show. It's really good. Really good.
I love Rhys Darby. He is such an iconic New Zealand actor from Jumanji and a whole bunch of other things. He's just amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, Taiken's my favorite director, and I love everything he's been in. Even, I know I talked about him as an actor. I'm not saying him for my favorite actor, but he is a very good actor, and you feel his presence in everything he's worked on.
Who is your favorite actor?
My favorite actor, this was really rough for me because I don't really think about actors that hard. Like, I think if I see something that someone's in, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I wouldn't say before thinking about this, I had a favorite actor. But I'm going to go with David Tennant.
Yeah, I can get behind that. The new Doctor Who
is
about to come out.
Yeah, so I first saw him as the 10th Doctor. Absolutely love Doctor Who, love his portrayal. Really just drew me in. He's in Ahsoka and Clone Wars as Huyang, which...
As the voice actor.
The voice actor for Huyang. And, I mean, technically you could get someone else to do it because, like, it's just a voice actor. Like, they're not using his movements or anything, but...
I don't think
there's something... I don't...
His voice is too unique.
It's so good.
There's just something about his delivery and stuff. Like, when he gets shocked or surprised, and the way he goes up is like, are you serious? And it's just... it's really funny. And then he has those really humble, like, deep moments where he's giving advice. And it's the same in Doctor Who. He has that, like... flipping between really angry, really jovial, and then just right in the middle where he's really serious. And he's not angry, but he's just like really intense.
Yeah, you're right.
And he does it so well.
Quite a good range.
Good Omens. He's Crowley, opposite Michael Sheen. And initially Michael Sheen was going to be Crowley, but David Tennant walked in and both Neil Gaiman and Michael Sheen were like, that's Crowley. Like, he has to do it. And I saw someone say... I don't know if you guys have seen Good Omens. It's really good.
I have not.
Yeah.
I saw someone say if Michael Sheen had played Crowley, he would have been less varied. Like, Michael Sheen is very good at playing the villain character. He can play a very good villain, and he can play a very good hero.
Yeah.
But Crowley's sort of like an anti-hero.
Because he was an angel.
He was an angel, now a demon.
Yeah.
Best friends and something more with an angel. So it's like...
I haven't gone that far yet.
So it's like, if he had played Crowley, people are saying it might not have been as nuanced, not because he can't be nuanced, but just because his choice for playing the character would be a bit more sinister. Whereas David Tennant plays him in a very...
He definitely has a lot of fun with
varied way.
You can
which is
even in the
awesome.
first episode, David Tennant has you can just tell he's just having fun being evil, like kind of like Lucifer on Netflix.
Yeah.
I actually love David Tennant in the 4th Harry Potter movie too.
Oh,
you barely see him, but like the moments you see him, I think he plays such like a slimy guy.
Yeah,
really well, and it's cool to see him do that.
He's enough to be not just like Professor Quirrell, who you don't really remember, but you remember as a character, not really the actor. But his performance is enough of like a standout performance that you notice him, and he's really important.
It's also just one of the best Harry Potter films too.
It's quite good.
And then he's in What We Do on Our Holiday. He's like the dad, and he plays. The dad's not a bad guy, but he's very protective. Anyway, that's one of his more minor roles. And then I haven't seen Broadchurch, but it's like on my list because I love David Tennant so much. And then he's also in Jessica Jones, which he's terrifying in
I've
that.
watched the first few episodes of Broadchurch.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's not. I don't think it has. It's where he can show
Shine
his
the most.
full range.
Yeah.
Because it's a very serious show, but he still does the character massive justice, and he just the way that he works with the other actors and how that comes off on screen is really good.
I think Doctor Who is just the best example of his. Like
That's his
full
iconic
range.
role.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, like, it's
That's
his
his most iconic
famous.
role.
Yeah.
And now he's back, so I'm not caught up with Doctor Who, but I have to catch up because I desperately want to see that,
So
and I
much
don't
to
want it
watch.
to not make sense. And then I'm just going to preempt you guys because I know you're going to ask my favorite movie, which is, you guys already know it. How to Train Your Dragon is, in my opinion, the best movie of all time. It just has everything, and it's accessible for everyone, and I think that's important in a movie. I would very happily make children's or like young adults content because it's so accessible for everyone. But How to Train Your Dragon just has that something more. It's like it's very much a kid's movie, but I could watch it time and time again, see new stuff, even though I've watched every behind the scenes, see new stuff. I could analyze it so much. There's stuff for adults in there. It's just funny. It's really
one of those
funny.
movies that everyone can watch.
Yeah.
And I forget the series. Is it a series? Yeah, like the Clone Wars. It's kind of for kids, but then if you watch it as an adult, there's some really really heavy messages in it. And I think, yeah, you're exactly right. How to Train Your Dragon is amazing, and it's for all audiences.
Yeah.
Without question.
And then you cannot talk about How to Train Your Dragon without talking about the amazing score. And if I'm being completely honest, I thought How to Train Your Dragon was a good movie, and then I started listening to the score on repeat on Spotify while I was studying. I was doing the HSC, and I would listen to movie soundtracks as my music because there's no lyrics, and I'm not gonna like sing along with it, though I do end up humming along. But that soundtrack was like, oh my god, this is so good. And then I went back and watched the movie with the soundtrack, like knowing the soundtrack off by heart. And it elevated the experience so much for me because now I was paying attention. It made me rewatch the movie, and I was paying attention so much more. And I just noticed more. And that's where you notice the really nuanced character relationships and dynamics and just every little thing. And it's
Do you have a favorite
fantastic.
track?
It's got to be Test Drive.
Yeah?
Test Drive.
Is that the first flight?
That's the first time they properly fly.
Yeah.
Where he has the sheet of paper with all the movements
Yeah.
for how to move his foot. And then he loses it, and it gets all really intense, and the music builds, and then he's like, screw it, and he just dives in, and they fly together, and at the start
And
of
it
the
just
track,
works.
you just hear Hiccup's theme, and then partway through, you just hear Toothless's theme, then there's the panic part, and then he throws away the sheet, and their themes come in together, and it's just like, gives me goosebumps every single time.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, same.
You're
I
gonna
literally
hate
have
me?
I literally have goosebumps right now.
You're gonna hate me? It's my second favorite.
That's allowed. What's your favorite?
Romantic Flight.
That's really good. I love Romantic Flight, but it doesn't give me the same chills. I think it's
No, yeah.
that those chills. It's just.
The compositional masterpiece from Mr. John Powell.
I mean, John Powell and DreamWorks have done great collaborations. I mean, my other favorite animated movies, apart from Spider-Verse, are Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
It's like
Are
Kung
any
Fu
of the-
Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, and Spider-Verse are all up there. They're all my favorite animated movies, and they're also all up there as some of my favorite movies, full stop.
Oogway Ascends.
It's just the best. But also underrated, well, not underrated, I've never heard anyone talk about it. It's, what's it called? Damn it. I've forgotten.
Out of DreamWorks?
Out of Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, okay.
I opened Spotify and it was right there. Sacred Pool of Tears. It's like 7 minutes long track from Kung Fu Panda where Po is training with Shifu
Yeah.
And at the same time,
Good scene.
Tai Lung is running towards everyone else out of the jail, and it's just very emotional and also very epic. But we've moved away from How to Train Your Dragon. That's my favorite movie. There's just so much to it, and then the whole franchise, like, it just works as a whole. And also, there's a couple of TV shows which, I mean, they're kids' TV shows, so some episodes are just like
Very
whatever.
simple, yeah.
But the story in the second one, the second TV show, it's Race to the Edge, is actually very intense. Like, there's this guy who's probably a better villain than either of the villains in the second and third movie. And he's just in the TV show. But yeah, it's really good. Really good.
I think the villain in the third
franchise.
movie gave me like Thrawn vibes because he
Yes,
felt
but he's
like he was
also-
so far ahead, but he's also very stubborn.
Yeah, I get that too. Like, he is thinking ahead of them, which is awesome, but it seems to come around by luck.
Yeah,
Because, Jake, I know you haven't seen it. At one point, I think it's Rough Nut gets captured by him, and that's pure accident because they just accidentally leave her behind because she's not paying attention.
yeah,
And her getting captured is what gives him the advantage. But, like, he didn't plan for it. It just happened.
yeah.
Whereas, like you say, Thrawn, he is
He
one,
plans
he
for
is one
everything.
step ahead always.
I'd argue multiple.
Even multiple, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the last
In some
episode, he
stage.
literally says the words steps ahead, like these steps
Yeah.
ahead or
Yeah.
one step ahead. So yeah, we know that's how it goes. But yeah, How to Train Your Dragon franchise, and specifically the first movie, just that opening scene, the amount of analysis I've seen of that scene and of the test drive scene in terms of music and just cinematography and how it sets up the rest of the score and the film just straight away. It's spectacular. And they got a professional cinematographer, I can't remember his name.
Roger Deakins.
Yes, Roger Deakins,
One of the greats.
to help them with the lighting. And that's why it looks so stunningly lit the whole time, because they
done-
used like real life cinematography tricks and lighting tricks to make the scenes work.
He's done a lot of animated films, Deakins. He did Kung Fu Panda as well. He did Rango, which is another great animated movie. So it's really cool how you can get like such a professional, like amazing Oscar-winning cinematographer like him to work on your animated films and makes it that much better.
There was an interview with him. Oh, it was a YouTube video about using film over digital. And there was, I think they interviewed Quentin Tarantino, who said he'll never shoot on digital. He hates it. Anyone who uses it should die, or something
Some elitist
very,
thing.
Sounds about
very
right.
similar to that. But then Roger Deakins said, yes, I enjoy film, but digital, there's so many more possibilities. And then that also translates to these animated films. And
You obviously can't shoot an animated film on film. You have to hand
Exactly.
animate it if you're going to do
Exactly.
that. And there's just,
it brings that.
there are more limitations, and it's really cool, like those older animated films that are hand drawn on literally big sheets.
Yeah.
The layering they do to give depth and stuff like that, it's very, very impressive artwork. But digital animation is just a whole other, I mean, Spider-Verse, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mitchell's vs. the Machines,
Great movie.
Puss in Boots 2, and then even How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, these older ones which don't have the same unique style but have a very unique look in terms of their cinematography and their lighting. It's just,
It's very good.
you can't be elitist. You shouldn't be elitist about any filmmaking technique. It's just limiting you.
One more little thing on animated movies and cinematography in them. Toy Story 4 has, so the DOP, who I forget who it was for Toy Story 4, they, in the software they used to make the animation, they recreated, if you know like camera lenses and like nerdy stuff like that, they recreated the Cook look, which is like that very pink skin, very nice looking, out of focus highlights, and just amazing skin tones, and that kind of goldy, like teal and orange look. for the lenses, they recreated that in the software, and that's what they used for the movie. And I think Toy Story 4 is one of the best animations I've ever seen in photorealism. I would highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Yes, terrible story.
Movie is stunning. It's stunning.
It makes up for it in the
Yeah.
visuals.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cool little thing that I thought.
That's really cool.
Cool.
What have
let's
you
move-
two been watching
oh.
recently?
Yep, sorry. I've been watching... Hang on, come back to me.
Okay, so I'll go first then. Last night at the Dendy, they were playing a 4K restoration of Steven Spielberg's 1993 film Jurassic Park, 30th anniversary. I went to see it.
Whoa.
Never seen it on the big screen. Rocked my world. Seeing those things, those dinosaurs on the big screen, hearing that score. Speaking of scores, John Williams, iconic theme. And also like How to Train Your Dragon. It's kids film, but also has so much for adults. Like, I just get so emotional when I'm watching it because I feel like it's such an emotional story about like growing into your own and becoming, you know, a dad. I feel like through the Grant character, the Sam Neill character, but it's also such like an epic blockbuster. It has so many thrilling sequences. That film is just amazing. It was awesome to see it in theaters. And yesterday, as well, for reading movies, we watched The Devil Wears Prada, Meryl Streep and Hathaway film. Really fun film. I had seen it before. Just really entertaining. I love the cast. I also rewatched The Social Network, which is one of my 5 favorite films that I'm sure we'll be talking about soon. And I also watched Mad Max Fury Road for the first time.
I've never seen any of them.
Oh,
I've never seen any of them.
My
No.
God. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
It's a lot?
Like it's really good?
It's probably the best action film I've seen.
Wow.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'll stop
Okay.
there.
That's crazy.
It's in the conversation.
That's crazy.
So I watched A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick and oh my God, why do I Jesus.
Jesus is in it?
Yeah.
Crazy. You
Yeah.
came back just for
Surprise
that
cameo.
movie?
Blake
Just for
Lively.
that movie. No, Blake Lively. Sorry.
Lively.
Blake Lively. It's a story about Anna Kendrick, who is a single mum looking after her kid, and I'm very tired. And Blake Lively, who's meant to be this like really smart mastermind who murdered her own sister, faked the death of her sister. And yeah, it's like it's kind of a comedy, but it's also a thriller. And yeah, this is the second time I've watched it. It's a really good movie. I'd recommend it. It's on Netflix. Came out in 2019, directed by Paul Feig. Yeah,
Nice. Sounds really interesting.
Very good. It's kind of a murder mystery, but not really. But yeah, it's very, very intriguing.
I like both of those actresses a lot. And Paul Feig's good. His movie Bridesmaids is really funny. And he did the TV show Freaks and Geeks, which I'm sure you guys have heard of.
Heard of but not seen.
Heard of it, not seen. It's bad.
Okay. I think we shouldn't delay it any
No.
longer.
Let's.
Jake,
It's my happiest moment.
let's talk about Boogie Nights.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
So, Boogie
If-
Nights is my number 1 favorite film of all time. It was written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson at the age of 26. It was his second feature film. He got full creative control after having to kind of dial back on his first feature film, Hard 8, which he wanted to call Sydney, but because for the character name. But Boogie Nights is a film starring Mark Wahlberg, Burt Reynolds, Julianne Moore, Heather Graham, John C. Reilly, Don Cheadle, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Amazing cast of characters, and it's about this guy Eddie Adams who is blessed with one special thing, and he gets found by Burt Reynolds' Jack Horner, who's a adult film director.
We should say this movie is rated R18+. It's definitely not for kids.
Oh yeah, there is a lot of. It's very provocative, as I was saying to Olly earlier.
Well, we'll talk about that in a bit, but it's very explicit.
Yep.
1997. It's a found family movie. It's a movie about you watch the rise and fall of this porn actress, Dirk Diggler, and
Actor.
Actress.
porn actor Dirk Diggler, and you see the world he inhabits. You see how that world operates. Certainly the darkness in the world, but also kind of like how having a family to fall back on is good in that world and in any type of world. I love it for many reasons. I think it's expertly directed. Like there's so many amazing little choices in like the way it's shot and the way the editing. I think the montages in that film are just masterful. The way it's set to music, and I also think the writing, like it's an amazing screenplay. One of my favorite screenplays because I think it has everything. It's so funny. Like that movie has me laughing. Like especially like the first hour when it's before it dips into the tragic side. I'm laughing. I'm smiling. I just want to hang out with these guys forever. And I think it hits you so hard when that switch comes, and that's when all the drama and tragic and thriller, and there's truly some horrific sequences too. So I think it blends genre and tone really well. And I've seen the movie countless times. I saw it on the big screen back in 2021. Paul Thomas Anderson's my favorite writer and director. So yeah, I love the movie, and I'm really curious to see what you guys think.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to go first because Cam went first last time. I actually really enjoyed it. So there you go, Jake. Not like Taxi Driver. I did enjoy this.
Yeah.
I saw the first part of it. I was like, this is an interesting choice for Jake to love so much. And so I kind of knew from that there was going to be a twist, like that it was going to change tone. So it didn't surprise me. But that scene where it does is so intense. Like,
oh my God.
Saw it coming. I'm going to spoil it.
Yeah.
It is halfway through the movie. It's not right at the end. When I knew Little Bill was going to kill himself. Like as soon as that scene started, I was like, he's going to kill himself. I did not expect him to kill his wife and her lover, but I knew he was going to kill himself. But one of the notes I've got written down is Paul Thomas Anderson, king of the long take.
Exactly.
Obviously everyone wants to do these long sequences that are all in one take.
So hard.
They are so hard, and I think he's done them really, really well. Because a lot of the time it's just like a big action sequence. It's like bam, 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 and it's a impressive showcase of filmmaking and how you can control all the elements. But this, like, most of the time it's just walking. Someone's just walking around. But because there's so much happening in the background with people walking around, and obviously you have to have crew, so everyone's staying behind the camera and just making it work. And they're emotionally impactful. And that one is like probably the most emotionally impactful.
I totally agree. There's 3 long takes in that film that blow my mind every time I see it. That's certainly one. The way he just walks to his car, he puts the drink on top, he locks it's so like every choice.
Definitely my favorite shot in the film.
The first one, when you start on the crane and gets onto a dolly into the club, you meet every single character in the film pretty much in one shot. That's so impressive. And the other one is when the chick jumps into the pool and it goes underwater. All 3 of those,
I'm just wondering how they did that technically in the 90s with this is with a film camera.
On film.
Like, is a massive glass box, or like what?
And film versus digital, the conversation we were having earlier, very relevant to the story.
They're talking about it in the story about how nobody wants porn films; they just want videos.
Yeah, it's a film about the porn industry, and I think people see that and get turned off. But it's very much a film about filmmaking.
So that's why I want to talk about you saying it's provocative. I disagree. I don't think it's provocative. I think it's explicit. But the whole point of the movie is that it's a commentary on the porn industry, on nudity in films, on the effect that drugs can have on people, on the effect that being around people that are doing bad things can have on people. Because Eddie Adams, Mark Wahlberg's character at the start, is very innocent. Apart from the fact that like people are paying to watch him be explicit, he's a 17-year-old kid. Like he's just a kid. He doesn't know anything. And then Jack Horner, like he's not necessarily a bad guy. Like he's the surrogate father to a whole group of people. He's technically a good guy because when we see the colonel get arrested for being a pedophile, he's so against that. Like he very much does not like that. And he pretty much disowns him, and everyone disowns him from that point. So he's not necessarily a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's morally grey, but he corrupts. I say with air quotes because this is what Eddie Adams wanted to do. He wanted to become Dirk Diggler, essentially.
Yeah. And that name changed throughout the film because it shows you where his innocence is and where his character arc is. And when he becomes
Brock Landers.
Yeah, that's like where
when he
starts to go
switches
downhill.
again. It's like Eddie Adams is really innocent. Then Dirk Diggler's like the wholesome porn star who's like, yeah, he's in this business, but he hasn't started doing cocaine yet. He's not treating people badly. And then he becomes Brock Landers. And right at the start, it's like he says, they want to make artful porn cinema, which like, sure. They are. It can happen.
No, they want to make it. Yeah, exactly. They want to make it artful. They want to make it like a movie. They don't want to make it just like some dirty little film that you find on the internet or whatever.
Yeah,
they want it to be
make a real film.
They want it to be a real film and an event, as other films are.
But the problem is then, and that like it's an innocent thing at the start, like that's just what he wants. But then they start making more and more, and he just goes downhill.
Yeah.
And his arc throughout the movie is sad, but he's never really like the bad guy. He just becomes sad. Like he's sad to watch. Like I didn't like Taxi Driver because the guy was just a bad guy the whole time. Like he was never likable. He was a sleazebag essentially.
Yeah.
But Eddie Adams and Dirk Diggler, he's never a sleazebag. Even when he's like in his bad moments, he's just sad.
Right.
And that's like interesting to watch because you see that change from him being innocent, then like, I want to say not powerful, but having all this like ego and it goes to his head. He's the king of the world. Yeah. And then he just becomes sad as everything. He's sad to watch. He's a sad guy. He is emotionally sad. And then by the end, he's just sort of back where he started, but he's humbler. He's humbler than he was in the middle. He's more cocky than he was at the start.
Yeah.
He's back to like Dirk Diggler a little bit of the way through, and
then a little bit of when he comes back to Jack's house all crying and he's back to Eddie.
Yeah, he's Eddie then.
He's back to
and
that
I think
little
what you're
child
saying
in the
is
big
so
world.
important and what's make this film work. So you feel empathy for these characters. They're doing bad things. They're in obviously
but they're not necessarily even doing bad things.
Right.
That's the whole point of the movie, and that's why I say it's not provocative because the use of nudity in the film, it's like there's a lot of nudity, and that confused me when I first saw it. I was like, okay, because it seems like it's a porn movie and there's a lot of nudity in it. I was like, okay, because I could tell it was going to be a commentary on the porn industry and how that's a choice people make. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but then they use a lot of nudity, and I was like, but that's then taking away that agency.
Right.
But it's actually not. Like they're using it in a way. They never show anything below the waist until right at the very end.
No.
Well, it's not entirely true.
About 40 minutes in.
Yes. Okay, that's fair. They use it a bit, but it's never meant to be sexual.
Yeah.
It's always meant to be showing the world and the empowerment of these characters, and that's what's important about it. And same with like doing the drugs. You see, they can't help it, but there's that mental scene with Julianne Moore and Roller Girl. I don't know her actor's name. Where they're Heather Graham, where they're just doing cocaine and having this really deep conversation. And after that, I'm pretty sure you don't see either of them do cocaine again.
No, you don't. But you see that because they're talking about Roller Girl. Oh, sorry. Amber wants Roller Girl to be her daughter.
Or Roller Girl wants Amber to be her mom.
Other way, sorry. Yeah. And then after that, we see Amber go into a court hearing about custody of her daughter. Her son. What the hell? And then after that, you can see that she wants to be a good person. From then on, she sees, I'm never going to be able to see my daughter again. Oh my goodness. This is where it turns. And her son. I said it again.
I didn't want to.
But then, no, she doesn't see her son again. But she's a better person overall.
And she's got 2 new children. Like as she says throughout the film, Dirk is her son.
Yeah.
And now Roller Girl's her daughter. They've got this family that is Jack, Amber, Roller Girl and Dirk. What a collection of names. But
So many great character names in this movie.
But it just
It's very 70s.
It's about this family of misfits is the word, because they're not doing bad things. Well, they do at one point though. They beat this guy half to death.
Sheesh.
But
That's it.
Yeah.
that's like the low point for the characters. They're not bad people. They're misfits. They're doing things that are frowned upon by society, but it's not actually bad technically. Like if it's a choice, then it's empowering.
And I think that's important. Like this film doesn't work if you don't feel empathy towards these characters, if you're not with these characters, if you're just like against like Travis Bickle, it's hard to connect to it. Like, and then I feel like that's why you maybe had that disconnect from Taxi Driver, and maybe why you feel, I don't know, stronger about Boogie Nights, because you do feel you're connected to these characters and you're following them and you're rooting for them, even though, I don't know, it's complicated. But I think it's really good character writing and really good world building to kind of show these characters in a messed up world, but also, you know, really connect towards them.
Yeah,
It does feel quite real. I think, yeah, that ability to connect with the characters, because you see with Eddie Adams, he's just like your average 17-year-old, and then suddenly gets pulled into this world, and you go on that journey with him, and you actually connect with him in that journey. Yeah. And
It's also what I found really powerful is actually there are only like 2 moments in the whole film where it really slows down. Like it really slows down. And I found those to be the most effective. Like I love these long shots and these really intense high speed moments. And at the end, I want to talk about this in a bit, the really suspenseful scene with Alfred Molina. But there's one scene in the middle, and for the life of me, I don't know why, I cannot remember what happens in it. But I found it while I was watching it. It was the most powerful scene where it just really, really slowed down, where we weren't seeing, it was just before that sort of cutting back and forth scene where Bert's trying to get his loan and everyone else is doing their other thing. There's a scene before that where it's not a long take, but it's just a long scene where nothing else happens. We never cut away from it. It's just this one scene. And I found that to actually be the most powerful scene of the movie, and none of us can remember
It's
it.
on the
No,
tip
I
of my
can't.
tongue, but
Oh my god.
I've seen this movie like 5 times. I can't remember.
I will say, while Jake's thinking of this, the first little bit with the nudity, it was very like, whoa, like with the first bit with Little Bill's wife, it's kind of like, whoa, all right, because I'd done no research about this film. I didn't even look at the poster. I knew nothing, but then for the first 20 minutes or so, I was really put off and wasn't too keen on watching it. But I started to get into it, and it was suddenly very enthralling. Yeah, and Jake's still
Well, Jake's gonna.
dropping his laptop. on the
He's
floor.
just dropped his laptop.
Yeah.
He's gonna research
I'm
this
trying to find
scene.
out.
He's gonna figure it out.
Bug me.
While he does that, I really, really, really want to talk about the scene with
Oh,
Alfred
But I have so
Molina.
many thoughts on this.
Well, you
Yes.
can
That
talk while
was-
you're
Yeah,
studying.
you go.
That was
go.
really good.
But
with just how you could feel the tension.
Yes, I have thoughts about that because I absolutely loved and hated, but like I loved it from a filmmaking standpoint. I hated it because I was sitting there and my heart was beating out of my chest and I was like, this is intense and scary and I don't want to watch, but I can't look away. So it was really, really good, that build up. But I found myself dissatisfied with the resolution of it, in that it was so masterfully suspenseful and this really intense build up, and then it kind of just became like wacky action again. And I felt like I wanted that intense payoff where, because we see him using he's doing the Russian roulette.
Yeah.
There's the firecrackers going the whole time. The firecrackers just stop, pretty much, and then they start shooting each other. And it's like, as soon as Todd pulls out his gun, the suspense is gone because you know exactly what's going to happen. They're just going to start shooting each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's still that tension. It's like, oh, is Dirk or Reed going to get shot? We know Todd's going to die because
He's
he's an idiot.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, it's like, we don't know what's going to happen. But it just didn't feel the same as that rest. I find that first suspenseful build-up the most masterful suspense I've seen in a film so far. I don't watch horror movies, but I don't think you need to like. It's a thriller style and technique. I feel like that is the most powerful use of it I've seen. And yeah, I just felt like it didn't pay off in the end. But
Even
that
if it had
doesn't
just
necessarily
been-
matter because you still get that powerful feeling in the moment. But at the time, I was like, that's a bit sad.
I reckon if he had pulled out the gun again and then I was fully expecting him to do Russian roulette with all the people in the
So
room.
was I.
But if you
And
noticed,
I thought the firecrackers were going to line up with the Russian roulette. Like he was
Yeah.
going to click and they'd flinch with the firecracker and there would be no shot. And then eventually they'd hear the firecracker and then
and then
Todd
someone
would
would
be
drop to the
dead
ground
or something.
Yeah.
Is it this scene when he's like, "You're nothing without me, Jack"?
No, it's before that as well, I think.
Oh man.
I can't remember because it was there wasn't much pace to it. It was just
really slow.
Mm.
But we just really sat there with the characters and it was...
It's not the scene when the colonel tells they're on the phone.
It is.
Oh
It is.
yeah, yeah. That scene's
scene.
amazing.
That
The way
like,
the sound cuts out when he's
there's-
knocking on the glass.
Yeah.
Oh, when he's talking to the colonel in prison.
we're in
yeah.
that conversation for so long.
Yeah.
And we never cut away and we don't even see Jack's face until right at the end. Well, we might see it once or twice, but we're mostly on the colonel's face and you feel sorry for him until you find out what he did.
Yeah.
And then you're like...
Because I was
and then you're just gone.
in that scene, I was like in and out of writing an assignment. But when I stopped writing and started watching, I wasn't really sure why he was in prison. Like he looked like he'd been a good guy up until then, and then suddenly it's, oh, this is what you've done. You deserve to be there. And
Yeah.
when those phones hung up, I was like, yep, good.
And the way he
I
reveals it, the line is so, it just gets under your skin so hard.
I just found that scene to be the most powerful in the whole movie because
I love that take. I love that scene.
like everything else, even if it's sort of slow, it sort of cuts between a couple of things. Like I said earlier, the one where Bert's trying to get a loan and you see Buck's trying to get a loan. I don't know why I said Burt. Burt Reynolds is Jack, but Buck is trying to get a loan, and it cuts between a couple of scenes, and they're all quite intense, and they're all moving at a reasonably slow pace. But just because it cuts between them, it's like it doesn't have that same effect. And even that suspense one at the end, which doesn't cut away from that, there's a difference between that sort of suspense, where it's like it's slow, but it's really building and building and building, and this really intense moment. Damn,
I'm sorry.
That was very loud.
This really intense moment where nothing else is happening, and I just found that to be the most impactful.
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
A few things. So that scene when they're cutting back and forth, like the Buck's getting the loan, and then Eddie is in the parking lot, and then they're in the limo. Like the music in that scene, like the bell, like the dun. It's like they're paying it's like the bells coming like to, claim their from all the sins they paid. It's something. There's something there.
And the scene with Bert in the donut shop. I felt the suspense. I thought he was gonna go out and his wife would be dead.
Wow.
And then the guy came in with the gun, and
I was
like,
expecting because they were in the same area as Dirk.
As Dirk,
So
and
I thought,
as Jack and Roller Girl.
Dirk was gonna come over to the donut shop and find them, and they were gonna do something there. But no, that was. I think it was very unbelievable of how everything turned out. But I also thought the police were gonna show up and Buck was gonna get Buck was
saying Bert. Buck was gonna get
There's a lot of
arrested.
names.
Buck was gonna get killed or
get,
something.
I thought he was gonna get the consequences of that. Like he was the lone survivor, covered in blood. But
there were no
obviously he took the
consequences
money.
for him though.
Yeah. Except he had to compromise on... This is something I only saw in a review after. I didn't register this. He compromises his style and his look because he was going to be Buck. He had the cowboy thing. He had all that.
Yeah.
And then...
then he became like a rapper.
Yeah, he became like a...
He leans
90s,
into the
like...
stereotypes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he compromises himself in order to finally get what he wants. And that's sad, but also life. Like, it was like he made a choice. He was like, I could either stay this way and not get what I want, or change this thing about who I am and get my dream. And he did that. And you got to do what you got to do to make your dreams come true.
I think that's what the film is about.
Yes.
Too. And so unlike you, my moments in the film that I love are the energy, the fast-paced moments. I love when the film slows down, but the energy, like the montages, the music, like it's just so infectious to me. And
I just felt it did that so much and
yeah,
really well every time it did it, but it made that slow down more profound and powerful in that way.
However, my absolute favorite moment in the entire film is when it slows down, and it's in a fast-paced scene. It's in the firecracker scene. They just hold on Mark Wahlberg's face for like 15 seconds. He just stares. He just stares into oblivion. It's amazing acting from Wahlberg.
I thought my thing had broken then.
Yeah.
It was
I
just
thought he was
still.
staring at Alfred Molina, which I think he was.
He's just reflecting on his life, though. It's just like, he's like, how did I get here? And then he rubs his...
And that's when he changes.
It's an amazing moment. And it gives me chills every time. It's like, you think it's going to stop, but it keeps going and going and going.
The only problem is if we wanted to use a shot like that in our film, in one of our student films, we get marked down for it.
Yeah, it's true.
We'd be told, no, there's no place for it.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. You just have to... It has to be valuable.
But art is subjective.
Art is subjective.
Art is subjective.
So, do we have any final thoughts? We do have to move on.
We have to talk about the final shot.
We have to talk about the final shot.
Final shot. Okay.
The final scene.
The final scene or the final shot?
The final scene when he shows it.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg's giant prosthetic penis.
Oh.
It's hilarious.
Maybe
and it's
maybe
very...
I fell asleep. I don't
It's
know.
actually powerful. It's powerful
It's
for
so
the film.
powerful, right? That's so weird how powerful it is.
Yeah.
I saw it in theaters, and when it happened, like people were cheering. It was so fun. Not even because it was like funny, because it's powerful.
Yeah.
It is funny, and it's like a great like moment where you just, I don't know. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It makes me fun.
It genuinely, like, it's that full circle moment.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's kind of weird
Boogie Nights.
where he was getting interviewed. Just a little thing where he's getting interviewed, and the big producer guy comes over and is like, "Let me see it." And just
The whole
That's what the industry is like.
that whole party
apparently,
scene
in that movie.
That whole party scene is just amazing energy. And one thing I want to say is Philip Seymour Hoffman as Scotty J is also just my favorite.
I thought he was
going
to be more of an antagonist. I'll
He
be
is
honest.
so funny.
Yeah, after the scene where he kisses
You idiot.
Dirk,
Yeah.
I thought he was either going to kill himself, because we'd already seen that happen once, or actually I don't think we'd seen it happen yet, but I thought he might kill himself, or
It was about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought
or
that was
become
gonna
the
be a whole,
antagonist.
Yeah.
Well, an antagonist, but no, he was just still there.
I was pleasantly
kind of in the
surprised
background.
though that they were still able to
Yeah.
they were still just there with each other.
If you watch him in the background of every scene, he's just giving a facial expression or like a movement that's so funny. Like when the scene when he's fighting Jack, he's watching in the background, he's like grabbing his lips. He's like, it's amazing acting, background acting as well.
Did you see it coming that he was going to kiss him?
Kind of. I definitely felt that he was gonna do something to him.
Yeah,
but-
he was into him. Like, you could
Yeah.
tell, and they
That's-
did it in a subtle but obvious way.
Really? I thought it was so obvious.
Well, it was very
when
obvious.
when he first
but
met
it's
him,
like-
it was like
Subtle
Okay.
to the people in the film,
something's
but
gonna
not subtle
happen.
to the
No, yeah.
audience.
I was kind of annoyed by how they didn't pick up on that. It was like very
Overt.
overt. Yeah.
Anyway, we just like contradicted ourselves like 3 times.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
thoughts in there.
But there's so much to talk about this movie. So if you have watched it and have seen anything interesting, send us a message. But we do have to move on.
I need your
to
ratings.
Hang on.
My
Yes. Out
rating.
of 10. Out of 10.
Out of 10.
Or
I was-
5.
I was going
Or
to
5.
5 because Letterboxd, and that's why I'm going to review it. I was going to say 3, but I think 4. 4 stars. And I feel like I need to watch it again for it to deserve 5 stars.
It certainly helps
because
with the rewatch.
I finished it and I was aware of all this commentary in my head, but I still needed to read all the reviews because like I just couldn't personally justify it being like perfect. I could see what other people were seeing, but I also felt like there's so much going on. Like I said about the nudity and stuff, it's like it is a commentary and it is valuable towards the movie, but it's also nudity in a film, and there's a lot to be said about that. And yeah, there's a lot going on, and I just need to rewatch it and read more reviews. And that's not my only like thing keeping it from being 5 stars, but that's what I've already mentioned.
I'll take 4. 4's great.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I think That's still really good, but I think I need to watch it properly again in a better like not at 11 o'clock at night, so I can actually understand the movie and
Right.
be ready for what happened.
No, that's fair.
Because I genuinely thought I'd picked the wrong film. I was watching the wrong movie and was like, Jake, what have you given me? This is the wrong thing. But yeah, I think I need to watch it again to properly take it all in. So yeah,
I didn't know where this was going to go
3.
when asking you guys to do it. I didn't know, like, especially because of how, like, just like not provocative, obviously, but like
It's very
explicit.
in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and explicit,
just
and it's
there.
just like they're just gonna think I'm so weird that I suggested this.
There was
a
until until it switched tones. I was like, there must be a tone shift because this is so different to Taxi Driver and to The Social Network and to all the other things that I know you like.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, if this is just like essentially a porn movie, I was like, interesting that is Jake's favorite.
During that first bit where it just looked like a porn movie, I was reading your reviews and it's like, this is not.
This is not Jake's vibe.
This feels very not
changed,
Jake, but no,
But yeah, 4 stars for me, 3
stars.
for Cam, and 5
25.
for Jake.
I would give 6 if I could.
6. Yeah, okay.
If Letterboxd ever adds a 6 star, that one gets it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's move on to movie news. And
There's only one really big thing that we want to talk about, and that is the WGA strike has ended, officially ended.
but there is a very big but. So there is the studios and SAG-AFTRA. They've reached a deal. I believe
tentative agreement is the words they've used.
I believe it's been voted on, and the writers are back to work as of today which is Thursday, the 28th of September. But SAG-AFTRA have also given the green light for video game actors to strike against all of the major studios, so Activision, WB, EA. And a whole bunch of other ones.
The SAG strike is still ongoing, which is very important. And WGA have said, you can go back to work now, but instead go and picket with SAG because they stood with us.
And also, I believe the actors are still striking. So at the moment, it's only the writers who have gotten a deal.
Yeah. And they've said it's a very good deal.
Yeah.
They've said it's a fantastic deal for the writers, which is awesome. I'm so glad to hear.
I believe they did get AI protections.
Yes,
and
hopefully.
a whole bunch of other things.
And it means stuff for us in Australia is also going to change because I know it was impacting the film industry here.
Yeah, there was nothing happening because of the strike.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the major news. Should we play a very, very, very quick game of quick pitch?
The quickest game of quick pitch ever? Let's do it.
Okay. We did Taika. I'm going to pick a director, I think.
Okay.
Jake, you pick actor and Cam genre.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's back to the start.
I think so, yeah.
I'm going to pick... We've done Spielberg, we've done Tarantino, and we've done Taika.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pick Sam Raimi.
Oh, Sam Raimi is so amazing.
I mean, you have to have his
great.
car in it, the yellow car that's in every single one of his
And does that
films.
mean we have to have Bruce Campbell, who's in all of his movies?
Yes, we do, apparently.
Yeah, I guess
so. I'm not going to pick Bruce Campbell because he can be an aside. I want to give...
It's got to be... you got to...
we got to have a main guy. Bruce Campbell could be in there.
As supporting. He'll be like kid number 2 or something.
Joaquin Phoenix is my actor.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Western.
Oh,
he's made a Western.
I mean,
Sam Raimi.
This is just a movie. Joaquin Phoenix is an estranged bounty hunter cowboy. So like he's a bounty hunter in the past times, and he's hunting this bounty, but this guy is very elusive. Maybe Bruce Campbell plays the villain.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Bruce Campbell is the bounty.
Yes.
Obviously, we know
he's
Raimi
Texas
movies are a
Red.
bit camp, but it's not camp in the same way as like comedic camp. It's just like playing with the genre.
Yes.
So it would be quite Western, but also you'd get that modern touch in there. But I think he should just be like, Joaquin is a bounty hunter.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds so... I would watch that literally immediately.
I don't think we even need... Like, that's the story.
There'll
be something...
Just along the lines of Big Iron, the song.
I was going to say something like Walking the Line.
Do we have a good like title for his character?
Like
Character title?
character name?
Character
or like,
name,
Or like
Buck Stevens.
Okay, he can be Buck Stevens, but nobody knows his name. He's gonna be like,
nobody knows his name is Buck Stevens.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just be like,
he'll be
he's
like
the Ranger.
The Ranger.
He's just the
I
Ranger.
like the Ranger. I was gonna say the Gunslinger, but that's
That's a
too
good
on
name for the
nose.
movie, The Ranger.
The gunslinger would be the person he's hunting.
Yes,
The Ranger versus
we could
Gunslinger.
we could do that. I do like. You could do Walking the Line, and he's a bounty hunter, but maybe he has a family.
Joaquin Phoenix was in a Johnny Cash biopic called Walk the Line.
Okay, let's not do that then. Okay, let's call it the Ranger. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good name.
And he is the Ranger. There we go. I want to watch that right now.
Yeah, me too.
I love a
Joaquin
Western.
Phoenix
I
is
adore Sam
the
Raimi so
Ranger.
much.
And Sam Raimi. Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. Film Society stuff. All our events are over pretty much. We've got the UC Film Festival at the end of the year, and we might try and run another competition before then, but we haven't fully discussed it yet.
No.
And these guys are looking at me like, what?
I think yeah. The final event for the year will be the film festival. I think we're gonna try and get it at maybe Hoyts or Dendy this year. That'd be cool.
Fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
Definitely let us know. We'll put a poll on the Discord about it. I tried to do that the other day, but I couldn't figure out how.
Yes.
But we'll put a poll on Discord about it. Definitely. If you want to get your film seen on the big screen, how movies are meant to be, definitely go and vote on that poll. Tell us that you can.
When we get it working.
When we get it working, I believe we will. I think we'll also have to put up tickets for it.
Yes, we'll need tickets. We also need to open up entries, which we'll do
Which we will also
today.
do.
I'm gonna set up this year's festival today. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for our poll. There will also be a watch party poll, and we're gonna get the final events of this semester rolling.
Run will be showing at the film festival. If you didn't come along to the short film screening, it'll be at the festival, as well as the new film Water Baby, which we are currently in production for, which is I'm very keen for.
Yeah,
I'm very happy with it.
We'll play our FADX films as well.
Yeah.
Our final year ones.
I'm gonna try and
even
get
if they're not being even if they're not competing, we'll just play them.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll play our film from Creative Collab as well. It's working title of Score, but don't love the title yet. We're trying to figure out something, but we'll try and get that in as well. Should we announce the film we're gonna watch next week?
Yes.
Jake.
In a fortnight.
So I'm gonna make you guys watch The Social Network.
Exciting.
Okay.
I've never seen it, but I've
Really
always
important movie
I've always
to me,
wanted
and both like the world we live in. Like I think it is really important for
I've
our
seen
time.
heaps of shorts on TikTok about it. But yeah, I'm
Great cast,
looking
great script from Aaron Sorkin, directed David Fincher. Great movie.
Awesome. Well, we got to wrap up there. Thanks for joining us this week on Off Camera. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
That's a wrap.